Hey everyone, so welcome to my 1 month review with the Nikon Z8. As some of you know that have been following me on my Instagram or my TikTok, you'd know I picked up one of these cameras a little bit ago. I've used it for a few gigs and I want to give my personal feedback and what I do like and what I don't like. So let me start off with why I bought this camera and the funny story, I find it funny, that came about on getting this camera. So I've been looking for a replacement for my Nikon D50s for quite a long time. It's been a couple years, and through situations that happened over the last couple months, I am now able to look at getting this camera. And that's what I was thinking when I went and picked it up. I wanted to test this camera, so I went out and purchased it from a local store here with a great 14-day return policy. And my goal was to test it over the 14 days and then make a decision on whether or not I'm going to actually keep it. Because there were concerns about this camera and how its autofocus would work, and there's a few other things that I was skeptical of it. I had a couple other cameras in mind that I wanted to go to, and if I'm switching to the Z8, I'd have to switch all the lenses anyways. So if I went to a new system like a Sony or a Canon mirrorless, then I'm switching lenses anyways. But I figured the most cost-effective way is to get into a Z8 and get an adapter so I could, in the meantime, use my current lenses because I already have a bunch. I've invested quite a bit and I didn't want to just throw all of those away or try to sell them for pennies on the dollar, because right now most people are not jumping into Nikon D850s or into the regular DSLRs, and everyone seems to be going over to the hybrid cameras and mirrorless. Same with me, I get it. So diving in, my one major concern with this camera was the potential autofocus, specifically for video and how it would interact. I'm not holding the camera because I only have one, and I am currently filming on the Nikon Z8. The autofocus, if you see it, it is pretty good. There are some places where it doesn't work well, and I will bring up some of those samples here.
Good. Hi everyone, my name's Renee and I'm at the winter market at Pine Ridge, and I just
So here, the camera went into manual focus, and I believe it went into manual focus because of the adapter, and maybe the connections of the lens aren't getting fed through properly towards the camera body. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If you are looking to use the adapter, this just might be something that happens. My lenses are old, so the connections could just also be dirty. So I will take them apart, clean them up a little bit, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it going forward. So maybe this isn't a camera thing, maybe it's just a system thing. I am not recording to the Z8. I'm not recording to any of those cards. I am currently recording straight to the computer through the HDMI out. It just allows me to get feedback from the monitor right here and watch myself, and I can see where I'm in frame, which is helpful. And that brings me to one of the issues, the screen. The screen has a tilt up and kind of a pivot back and forth, but I can't turn it around like it seems to be the standard on any other mirrorless camera, is that you can pull out the screen and flip it so that I can look at that screen without having to hook up a second screen and self-film. So this camera is really dedicated for me to film somebody else, but I can't really use it to film myself without getting an external monitor. I do have a few because that's what I do, but it would be nice to have a really stripped down kit, which is what I was buying this for, was for all those vlog style videos, the ones where I'm off-roading and just personal videos that I make for YouTube. I want to have a small kit. I don't want to bring all the Blackmagics, I don't want to bring all the other Nikons, just so I can have like photo and video during the day when I'm just trying to capture stuff for me, my friends, and family, right? So that is one thing I quite dislike about this camera, is that I can't see myself because the screen doesn't come out quite far enough to show me when I'm looking at you, the camera. Now, autofocus. I got a little off topic. The autofocus is fantastic in here, and it exceeds my expectations, which is why this is now a 1 month review versus a 14 days I returned it back to the store video, right? So, I mean, I think you know what I'm gonna say at the end of this video, but because I still have it. 1 month in, this camera has been fantastic. It has done everything I've needed to do in a way that's really easy to work with. The Nikon RAW is fantastic. It works great on the computer. There are many advantages for having a RAW file format. Talking about the RAW file format, it also makes a proxy at the same time. So if I just want to scrub through footage really quickly, there is a proxy video that's made alongside that I can plug in. And when I use DaVinci, all I do is I drop all the Nikon RAW video on one side, put another folder, call it proxy, drop it in there, drag the entire folder over into DaVinci, and DaVinci recognizes that there's proxies in that folder and it's auto-linked, and it just makes it really smooth. So the workflow is faster. Like, I don't have to build a proxy after the fact, which is fantastic. So workflow is much quicker with this one for the video processing side. I like it. I really like that. Now, continuing on with the efficiency, one of my gigs is inventory photography for vehicles. There's a lot of moving parts. Everything has to look the same, consistency over all the vehicles over the years and all that kind of stuff. What I was doing was using live view for a couple of the shots because of the angles are difficult to get to, so I couldn't see through the lens. I would turn the Nikon D850 into live view, but its live view was slow to autofocus because it just has a much different system. But on the Z8, you're always in live view basically, right? So when I do my normal shots, I can look through the viewfinder, it pops up the little screen, it switches back and forth like really, really fast. The autofocus is quick. It doesn't matter if I'm in live view. Well, I guess I'm always in live view. It doesn't matter if I'm looking at the screen to get that lower angle or popping in to look at the viewfinder. It's just faster. I can process the cars faster, and I can get through a car faster. I make more money, and it takes less time, so time is money. So I'm cut down the time it takes me to process a car even more. I've got it down to a science with the D850, but this just adds a whole layer of efficiency that I couldn't get any more out of from both shooting different angles from different spots and just tuning it all and knowing all my spots to walk through. Now the camera system is just that much faster. And the guys at the dealership are like, holy shit, you're getting through these vehicles like much quicker than you were before. And at this point, it's all about the camera. I couldn't make it any more efficient. So upgrading to this tool allowed me to make it just that much faster. And it's been fantastic. Battery life. That's one thing that is much worse on the Z8 than the D850s. Working through a day for the inventory photos, I might be down like 10% of my full battery. On this one, I've lost anywhere from 30 to 40% of my battery life. I get it. It's a much faster camera. It's got in-body stabilization. It's got the always-on displays, which I probably could turn off. But it makes sense. You're running more. You're asking the same type of battery to run all of these devices. Obviously, with the D850, super power efficient. This one is probably really efficient as well, but I'm asking it to do more, so it makes sense that you're using more battery. It's fine. I have a bunch of batteries. Non-issue, realistically. You're moving up to mirrorless, it's going to use more power across the board. However, I can power this with my USB-C charger. So right now, I don't even care about how long the battery is going to last, because right now I'm plugged in. So I can basically run indefinitely. And since the camera's not actually recording anything right now and it's all onto the computer, the camera's not doing too much other than feeding a signal into the HDMI into the computer. So the battery will recharge by the time I finish shooting this video. Small features that I do like as well is the audio input seems to work really well. There's not many options in terms of how it records audio other than setting the level. Since I use the Wireless Pros, I just set the level on the camera. The Wireless Pros delivers the certain level of audio to it, and it just is smooth, it's clean, it works really well. So it's a nice, efficient tool for that. I wish I had a little more audio level recordings. I haven't looked at what the Nikon does, if it's a 32-bit float or a 16-bit float or whatever that is. I don't really need that. It sounds good. And if I do need to pull a higher bit rate audio, I can just pull it off the mics that I have anyway, so non-issue. I do quite like the 2 USB-C ports that are on this camera. One's for data transfer, one's for power. So that's great. I can power it and then upload stuff to the computer when I don't have a memory card reader. But if you saw my other video, I did purchase one, so I'm good. And that was 20 bucks. Check that video out here. I was talking about the efficiency earlier. This camera is just fast. Like the fastest shutter speed this has is 32,000th of a second, which is insane. I haven't used it yet because it's winter. It gets dark really early, so that I haven't had a use for it yet. But just the functionality of the speed at which it autofocuses. I was shooting my friend's cats the other day because we're making some Christmas ornaments for her, for her significant other, and for some other family members. And just taking photos of the cats and getting them like stop action and being able to focus on their movements because they didn't want to sit. They were just kind of freaked out by the lights that I brought and all that kind of stuff. But just, this camera nailed its autofocus, and it was just easy to use, and I could use the live view. I can get into angles really quickly. It would pull in the focus really quickly onto the eyes. I'll show you a couple examples here. And just looking at these, it is fantastic. I haven't really used this for video much, other than these reviews and a couple other stuff that I put on TikTok, and a few other reviews pieces that I made for Instagram as well. Now, oh no, I was at the winter festival? No, the winter market. The winter market out at Birds Hill. So, one of the crews that I work with, Optimus Gear, went out there and filmed a bunch of reels and small stuff for them. Got some behind the scenes, some really cool stuff, some 60 FPS stuff, and it just nailed everything. I did fly it on a gimbal, however, without having the vertical mount. I didn't bring the vertical mount because we're making Instagram stuff. I didn't want to film everything horizontal. Handheld and the in-body stabilization makes this camera the dream for that kind of situation.
Hey there.
Hello.
How many dogs do you have?
Just the one.
Okay, can I show you how this works?
I'm kind of in a rush.
Do you have 20 seconds?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
All right, I'll be fast.
Okay.
So you have your Defender harness here that has a clip on the base, a clip on the top. All you have to do is take this here from the lower tether receivers, put that into the bottom of the harness, take the second one here from the upper part. That's good. Now your dog can sit down, lay down, move their butt around, but not stand up. In the event of a crash, it's going to take that crash force there and there. When you're ready to get out of the car, all you have to do is click this in, 1, 2, 3 different walking options. Use any leash that you already own. Click that in, and when you are ready, let them out of the car. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, let's wrap this up because I'll do a full review and talk about more stuff in like a month or a couple months from now, once I've really got to dive into this camera. But a month in, this camera is doing everything I expected it to and more, which leads me back to saying, hey, I was going to keep this for 14 days and then return it, but it is actually much, much better than I expected it to be, which is a good thing, bad thing, because like I didn't want to spend that much money on a camera, especially when I'm going into a slower season. but it's just too good not to keep. Like, it replaces the Blackmagics, it replaces both Nikon D850s. It just allows me to do so much with such a compact, relatively compact kit. I like it. If you do have a chance to get one, get it. If it's within your budget, it's not a cheap camera, that's for sure. But I suspect the Nikon Z6 III will probably be just as good. And if you do have a massive budget, then the Z9. Ooh, and parting note, the reason I went with the Z8 was that it was newer than the Z9. The Z3 didn't have a particular video feature that I wanted to use, but the Z8 and the Z9 did. So that's my reason for wanting this one in particular, and it works fantastic with all my lenses. With one caveat, the lenses are noisy, and by that I mean when it pulls autofocus, you can hear it click, 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 click. But when I'm running this mic, I've got fans going, got my little generator behind me, I've got some heating pads going on. All of that's really noisy, but as long as I speak loud enough, I can clean it up with DaVinci's Resolve. So all in all, I love this camera. It is going to be my mainstay camera. I'm going to sell everything else and jump into probably one or two more of these to replace the entire kit over the next year. I'll keep you updated. Like, subscribe, follow me on social media. I post more there than on YouTube, but working more for that. But with that said, I'm out.